Thank you very much for being with us.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming, man.
It is only a pleasure. It's always nice to be around people of intellect, and it's always nice to be with people that have actually made something of themselves in this world.
Yeah, well, I don't want to think of myself like that, but yeah.
You've made it. Let's be honest. You're doing really well.
Yeah, well, we're trying, to be honest.
And I'm happy for it. You know what? There's two little people out there that's actually doing well for themselves.
It's true.
And you know, this last while I've been talking to a whole bunch of people about young entrepreneurship, and we've been getting into the mindset of having a day job, and how a lot of times it's such a trap. You know, and I did the maths for a lady the other day, and she actually freaked out a little bit. I said to her, if you are earning 12,000 Rand a month and you can put away 10% of that, which is a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
90% of the population can't save 10% of their salary every month. And I asked her, how much do you think you would have saved after a year? And she couldn't. And I said to her, you would have saved 1 month's salary.
Exactly.
So I said to her, you know, this whole concept of this whole misconcept that a lot of people have is that you could start working for people or start working for someone and then earn enough money to start your own business. And in today's economy, it's just not the way to go. It really isn't a way to go. So we're just trying to find the cheat codes, if you will, on how to become a young entrepreneur successfully.
Yeah, man. Look, to be honest, it's a difficult one, you know. My journey is probably 20 years old. And, you know, when I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, you know, even back at school, I always knew that I'll have my own business one day.
Yeah.
So that was always in the back of my mind, which was one thing that I wanted to do. So what I set my life to do is that, okay, when I went to varsity, I then went to study business management to make sure that when I have a business one day I can run it properly.
Yeah.
So I wanted to respect the business. So I knew 20 years ago that, okay, fine, I'm going to have a business one day, but for me to have a business, I need to know the business. I need to have a business acumen. I need to have the knowledge. So I did that, and thankfully I got my degrees and all of that. Fine, but over and above that, I had the theory part, but I didn't have the practice. So I then started working for someone. Like you say, working for someone doesn't work, which I don't think so. I think it works, you know. Why? As long as you know the end game, you know that you want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Working for someone, for me, what it did, it taught me a lot. The ins and outs, what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
You know, not to, when you don't have money, what should you do, you know? And I learned a lot from that, you know, and also the discipline, because most importantly, what kills most entrepreneurs is discipline.
Yeah.
You know, entrepreneurs, they get money, and then obviously they're happy and they get a lot of money, and then they'll start partying, and that becomes you know, the norm. Then they lose focus on what gave them the money in the first place. And I would say it's more or less the same thing with artists as well, you know. So what it taught me that, okay, look, you need to have discipline, you know. The fact that you have this money today is because of this, so let's respect this, you see. So when I opened my own business, I'd already had the tools. I had the experience, I had the industry knowledge, I had the qualifications. So it was just an easy transition. During that time, a lot personally had happened, you know, which was supposed to happen in my life, you know. You know, I lost my girlfriend at the time, you know. I lost my son at the time, you know, through a lot of things, you know. But I still kept at the journey to say, look, my end goal is to have exactly. So no matter what, the people around me, if they leave, it's fine. At the end of the day, this is what I want to do, and by God's grace, I'm here and it has worked, you know. Yeah.
And I think what you were saying in that point is it does help in a sense to work for someone. And coming from, you can make mistakes. And it doesn't cost you a copious amount of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think on that standpoint, that like you say, you still have to have the drive, you have to have the motivation.
Yeah.
And you have to have the end goal.
Exactly.
You can't become complacent.
Yeah.
You can't just sit back and be happy with your everyday.
No.
You just won't get anywhere.
Exactly.
So let me ask you, what was your deciding factor? What was the moment when you sat down with yourself? And it's usually for me, it's when things in my life are going horribly wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you reach that crossroads,
Yeah.
where you decide, you know what, left is probably the easiest way to go. But you know what? I know what I want in life, and I know the destination. I'm taking the hard road.
The hard road.
And that's what you did.
Yeah, not true.
You took the road less traveled.
Exactly. Look, I've always been a person that loves challenges, you know. I don't like easy things, you know.
Yeah.
The hard road for me is always more exciting. I've always liked that. I don't know why. But
You're an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur, exactly. So I've always wanted to challenge myself, as you say. But the turning point for me was I had a good job. You know, I was working at a good job, earning a good salary. I had a townhouse, I had a car. And I knew in terms of threshold, I'd reached the ceiling where I was. So when I started with nothing, I always knew that, you know what, I can always fall back on a job, you know, because I did it before. So let's try this road that's less traveled. Let's try. There's nothing to lose, you know, and it worked, you know, it worked. But it's been a hard journey, you know, and I'm still, you know, still in it and still struggling, making sure.
No, and if I tell you, my father's been at this as well, and the question I always ask him is, how much is enough?
Yeah, it's never enough.
And he just keeps on saying to me, my boy, you know what, when I wake up in the morning and I decide to myself, you know, I don't want to go to work, then that's enough.
Yeah.
And he just loves what he does.
Yeah, exactly.
He loves waking up in the morning and he loves going to work.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, when you were talking about money, you know, firstly, I'm sure if you talk to someone like your father and someone like me as well, yes, the money is there at the back of your mind, but it's not about the money. You know, I know it's a cliche. Yeah. You need to have the money to say that it's not about the money. You know, you need to get to that point, and then when you realize, no man, but this is just money. You know, it's not about money. You need to love what you're doing. That's the first thing. You need to, because the passion and the love that you have for your business or what you're doing, that's what's going to keep you at it when there's no money, you know. Yeah. So the money is just it's a byproduct. It's a cherry. Yeah, it's a cherry on top, you know. But what's going to keep you there is definitely the love, the passion. Yeah. It could be anything: music, trucks, whatever, mechanics, whatever it is. As long as you love it, then everything else will fall into place, man. Yeah.
So let me ask you a bit of a nitty-gritty question.
Yeah.
So you went to school.
Yeah.
And then you got your degrees and you finished up, and then you went and worked for a company.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you straight up, where did the money come from to start your new business?
Yeah.
This is a question a lot of young guys ask, and you know what? It's and this is what I said to you. We had to find out is because a lot of people get borrowed money from their fathers. A lot of people have saved up a little bit of money. A lot of people, their fathers have passed away, or they've earned it themselves. But there has to be a source of income in order to start anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Where did your financial freedom come from in order to take that leap of faith into your entrepreneur
journey? Look, for me, I would say there was no money. Yes, fine. But my previous job, what happened was that I learned so much in terms of everything, in terms of what I want to do in that industry. My previous boss trusted me with the whole company. Basically, I was running that company.
Yeah.
And he was so entrusting in me. I saw that, look, I can actually do this thing for myself, you see. So when I started my own business, I had no money, fine, but I'd saved up a bit of money, but it was not enough to really run a business.
It's never enough.
It's never enough. So, but what I was leveraging on was the experience and the knowledge and the, I would say, the social capital. So your connections, the people that I know within the industry. So I could do basically everything without money, you know, and I didn't just by networking. So I knew Dean could give me diesel, for instance, because I was working with Dean before. So I knew Dean could give me a diesel account for credit for a month. You know, I knew Bongo, for instance, would give me this. So, and that's what I did within the first month, and then it worked. You know? It worked. And then as time goes on, I got a friend of mine, actually, he invested a lot of money into the business. And then, you know, that also opened up
a whole bunch of doors.
A bunch of doors to say, look, let's now scale this thing and take it even further. And it has worked, you know.
See, and I think a lot of people have to find their gap in the market.
Exactly.
And I think you saw with the waste disposal that this is really... This is something that's needed right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen South Africa all around. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
And for me, what was even worse was that, yes, the gap... the bug in the waste management. How it came about was that my previous company where we were working, we were doing street lights. You know, we were doing high-mast street lights. We were installing them in Pretoria. And it was just dirty. We went into the township, it was dirty. So I approached the municipality there to say, look, can we clean the streets before we can start trenching and putting cables and everything, you know? And they said, no, it's fine, please clean it. And what happened is that I approached the community leader, the councillor there at the time, and said, look, we want to clean up, you know, just have a clean up, we're doing street lights. And they said, look, we can help you. And we did it within 2 or 3 days. We cleaned up the streets.
Wow.
And when we cleaned them up, you know, the impact that had happened, you know, in terms of that community, I saw that, look, there's something there, you know, because once there's a clean up and the city looks clean, or for that week it's clean, the impact is, you know, the ripple effect is bigger.
Yeah.
So I then started, you know, investing more in it and researching more and said, look, let's do this, let's clean up there, let's clean up there. And that's how it grew, and that's where we are now, you know.
Yeah.
I'm in love with it, you know, it's a passion. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if anything, you're supplying a service, and a service that our country cannot do without now.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Let's talk a little bit about how the growth of your company started. You spoke a little bit about an investment. And I spoke last time to PH, and I said to him, look, you know, this is a big mistake that a lot of people get, is that they do finally get their funding and they do finally get their chance, but they don't use it correctly. You know what I mean? They don't utilize that funding, and they don't utilize that opportunity to its fullest
capacity.
And you know what? That's the saddest thing that I see, is that there's so many people out there that really deserve chances. But they're wasted.
Yeah, they're wasted, man. Look, it boils down to the entrepreneur themselves, you know.
What's your advice? What would you say to a young guy that's at the point of starting his own business? He's finally gotten the knowledge, he's gotten the paperwork behind him, he's gotten the funding. What would you be? What would be your biggest advice?
So for me, I would say the funding is the end, you know, result. You need to start the business first.
Yes.
You know, you need to get your hands dirty. We can only fund you if we see you're doing something about it.
Business plan.
Yeah, but even though a business plan, you can have a business plan. For me, I had a business plan, and then I threw it out of the window when I started, because it's in my head.
It's in your head, yeah.
I know what I want to do.